Okay, so what I'm going to do next, while the cake is in the freezer setting up again, I'm going to take my Wilton's Candy Melts, and I'm going to do a white drip, but I'm going to tint it a little bit with the yellow candy melts. So I'm going to use mostly the white and maybe put one of the candy melts, the yellow, in it just to slightly tint it. You can also use things like this. This is a Buttercup Yellow, and this is by Wilton. It's an icing color. And this, you literally just need a drop, or you can put it on the end of a toothpick and dab some in there, and you want to stir it up real good. A little goes a long way with this. Usually the more you use, the darker you can get, but I always suggest starting with literally just dipping a toothpick in there and adding it to your frosting and mixing it very well, and you'll see the color change. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put it in one of these bottles with the tip on the end. I'm just doing a handful in here, probably another. So 2 small handfuls. Take the yellow. And I think I really just want it, because I don't want it to be too dark. I just want a slight variation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put like 1.5. We're going to start with that because I don't want to go too dark. So I have my heavy whipping cream, and I'm literally just going to add a splash. You don't want too much. Maybe just a little more. Some people say to use heavy cream or milk. I prefer to use the heavy cream or milk, but you just use very, very little. Put it in the microwave. This is about maybe just above a quarter of the way, getting close to halfway full. Put it in the microwave at like 20-second intervals. Okay, so this has been in the microwave for about 22 seconds. And that was about all it needs. So I just take my hands and kind of mix it around. If you feel like it's not mixing very well, you can always take one of your skewers or one of the cake pop sticks and stir it around. You will see some of the whole candies a little bit, which is fine. They'll melt down as you stir. And I can see that the color is just right. It'll give me just a slight contrast. I might have to put this in the microwave for maybe 5 more seconds. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so the 5 more seconds did the trick. You don't want it too hot. You want to do it in far enough in advance so that it'll cool off at least 50%, so that when you put it on your cake, it's not reacting strangely with the frosting. So you can kind of see the texture of that. The heavy cream also makes sure it's thinned out just enough. And sometimes if it's too thick, all you have to do is add just another splash of the heavy cream and stir it in. You may have to add up maybe another 3 to 5 seconds in the microwave and look and stir and make sure it's all melted nicely and the texture is consistent. So that is perfect. And now I'm going to get the cake out. Okay, so I just took the cake out of the freezer. And another trick is As soon as you take it out, if you see some parts that need to be smooth, this is one of the best times to do it. While it's still really, really cold, just take your flat spatula and go through and lightly press and smooth. And just do that all the way around until you have the desired results and it looks nice and smooth to your eyes. And that's another way to get the top right. Just want to smooth it and scrape. Smooth and scrape. And sometimes if you're going to do a lot of elaborate decorations, which a lot of times I do that, the top always doesn't have to be perfect because you won't see it. Most of the time, people are just amazed at how smooth you can get frosting because a lot of people don't have the patience or the time to do it. So if you know how to do this and get it smooth, that impresses people alone just on having smooth icing. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of clean up the board. I just take a paper towel. A lot of times I go through with a wet one and then a dry one, or I use a dry one first and then I go through and clean it off. Just have to be very careful because the cake board is also part of the presentation. So let's do a light cleanup. I keep a little trash bucket right next to me. So I end up adding just a few more drops of the heavy whipping cream into here just to thin it out just a little bit, but it's still pretty thick, and just take it and shake it up. And I'm going to start